The new Cyclops Killer is sitting right in front of me. Her eyes look clouded and dark. Who the hell are you?
Saito. Saito Sejima.
But of course you are. Saito Sejima. I don't suppose you've come to reclaim your body, have you?
Congressman Sejima's son.
Yeah, I got that.
What?
I researched Saito thoroughly, but I cannot find any images of him on the internet.
Well, was it really thorough then, AIBA, if you couldn't find any images?
He is listed on the family register, but I cannot find any photographs.
Actually, you know what? It's probably a good thing, because you might have short-circuited in my eye socket once you saw what he looked like. Still, didn't that seem a bit suspicious to you, AIBA, that there are no images of Saito Sejima, the son of a prominent congressman? Who was inside Iris during the interrogation Sunday?
That was me.
Of course it was.
You imitate her well.
We were interrogating Saito Sejima at the time, pretending to be Iris. And we entered Saito's Somnium that time, right? That explains why it was all so fucked up and creepy. I thought Iris may have had a hand in the earlier killings, but no. It was Saito Somnium. Of course he had a hand in the previous killings. He was the killer. The old Cyclops Killer. And when we saw that reflection of Date in the mirror, and I was like, oh, he's got his eye, and you guys corrected me and saying, no, that's not his eye, that could just be his reflection on the glass, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, and I wrote it off. That was his cognition of himself stabbing those people.
From the way you talked and your body language, it was like the real Iris.
Oh my gosh. Was there something I missed? Apart from the fact that, the Somnium itself was just bizarre and creepy and didn't suit Iris at all, especially because when we synced with Cyrus and the other Somniums later on, it was a lot more happy-go-lucky, shovel forge compared to that dark and mysterious warehouse, right? Was there any mannerism that I missed, maybe?
Earlier, too. You almost had me fooled.
Almost had you fooled, Date? Saito had me completely gobsmacked.
Your imitation of Boss was perfect.
All right.
Yes, there's a reason for that.
Well, go on.
Let me define some terms first. A person's memory and sense of self. Let's call that personality. It isn't quite the right word, but it'll suffice. Now, transferring that personality into someone else's brain...
I don't like hearing Boss sound like this. Poor Boss.
Let's call that parasitism.
Parasitism. Yep, that sounds accurate, because that's exactly what you are, Saito. A parasite hopping between bodies.
The one transferring is the parasite. The one being transferred into is the host.
This truly is the flow where just everyone has died, basically.
Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Moving on. Even after the personality exchange is complete, the host's memory isn't completely lost.
Right, there are remnants of it still remaining in the brain that you use to take advantage of and imitate whoever it is you are currently in?
About 1% remains in the brain.
Oh.
So, a parasite could use that 1% to imitate the language and behavior of the host.
1% is all you need?
That's how I knew about the warehouse and Sunfish Pocket, by the way.
I see.
Thanks to Renju and Iris's remaining memories.
My goodness. How? When have you been swapping these bodies? Give me the details of each crime.
Before I do, there's something I want to hear from you.
Oh?
How did you know about the prototype sync machine?
That's a good question. Parallel worlds? Would you buy that?
And not only that, you also seem to know what the sync machine is truly capable of.
It's the same explanation.
Why is that?
That's...
Well, Date,
Regaining your memories, are you? Human memory is fractal.
My memories. Speaking of... For some reason I thought we were Saito eventually because of our ages lining up. We were both... Well, we were 30 in our file. And we assumed Saito would be because he was 12 at the time of Manaka Iwai's death and 18 years on to present day. He would have been 30. So we're not Saito. Who are we? Are we actually Rohan Kumakura?
If you retain even a single piece of it, it's possible to recreate the whole thing. Pieces of memories are like roots that grow into every corner of the brain.
Even though they are sometimes buried in the recesses of our brain, we can still recall them if we use a trigger or something. Usually sight or smell is a very powerful one.
Gradually, slowly, taking its time. I imagine the same thing is happening in your brain right now.
Everything that happened pre-6 years ago.
A fractal is a figure with self-similarity. Allow me to explain.
Okay, sure. Explain away while I stare at this killer.
See this? Whichever fragment you cut, you will see a similar shape.
Okay, yes.
The whole is made up of its similar parts. This is called a fractal figure. Memories in the brain are similar. That is what he is explaining. He is claiming that from a few pieces, you can rebuild the memory.
I see. I knew about the prototype from regaining my memory. Is that right? No, that's not it.
Parallel worlds exist.
There we go again. Unknown. Who was inside Iris during the interrogation Sunday?
I'm telling you,
Holy shit.
it was me.
You don't need to get up all in my face there, Saito. Give me the shivers. It's already cold enough where I am.
Why are you making me repeat myself?
That means the Somnium I entered on Sunday.
Exactly.
That's right. It was me.
How? How does he know about the original Cyclops Killer? Because he is the original Cyclops Killer. And something else was troubling me. That image right there.
What's going on here?
What's going on? We were in a killer's somnium. Continue.
Fine. I still have time.
Time for what?
Time.
You'll see.
What are you waiting for?
So, where do you want me to start?
It's just past midnight on Tuesday. Shoko was killed on Friday. If we think of that as day 1, today is day 5. What was Saito doing those days? I decided to ask him. Well, like any good story, let's start at the beginning. Day 1, Friday.
Like you guessed, my personality was in Shoko, Renju's ex-wife.
And how did you get into Shoko?
That made calling Renju easy. I need to talk to you about something.
Suppose we didn't have a chance to ask about day 0, which is how he got into Shoko, so we'll just go with day 1 for now.
He came over without question. I think it was around 4 p.m. I had him meet me at the chemical plant.
Uh-huh.
I made Renju go to sleep. Synced. Switched personalities. And then stabbed Shoko's discarded body with an ice pick.
With Renju inside. Which means... Renju has been dead this entire time. Which means... the Renju in the other flow, the other side of the corkboard where... I guess Saito didn't enter Iris? Has been Renju this entire time, which means the end game where we found Renju's dead body and 89 was there. Does that mean Saito is now in 89's body? And Renju has been dead this entire time since the beginning of the game.
I took Shoko to Bloom Park by car, using the old abandoned subway line.
That's why Renju was all suspicious and whatnot, because he is the killer. Or at least Saito is in Renju's body.
Must have been around 8 p.m. by the time I was finished. I tied up Shoko to one of the merry-go-round horses.
Yeah, we saw your handiwork there and then.
After that, I used Renju's phone to send a Nile message to Mizuki.
Mizuki. Daddy got caught up in something serious.
Then, I just waited for Mizuki to arrive.
What was that for? Day 2, Saturday.
Until next Saturday evening, my personality was inside Renju. My next target was Iris.
Why? Because she was Monica Iwai's daughter?
I knew she would be suspicious if I asked her to come to Kawasaki, so I asked her to come to Sunfish Pocket first.
Were you looking to finish what you started 18 years ago?
I called her a little before 5 p.m., and she arrived just after 6. I greeted her, then convinced her to come with me.
Because she trusts Renju, she went no problem.
That's when Ota saw us. Anyway, I put her in the car, then headed to the chemical plant.
That's right, I remember Ota saying that.
On the way, I made her take a sleeping pill. I knew she might run once she saw where we were going. It was around 7 p.m. when I got there, and I wasted no time switching bodies.
Which means Iris was in Renju when you killed and hung her. Or in Renju's body, of course.
After getting Iris's body, I used a rolled-up apron to strangle Renju to death.
A rolled up apron. Goodness. You're quite resourceful.
Then I put his body in an empty oil drum I'd prepared earlier.
Because you were limited by Iris's physique.
I put that in the trunk of the car, then headed to Sunfish Pocket.
So we really did solve the case there and then during the interrogation. Iris, or Saito, at the time was vehemently denying the fact, and we put all the pieces together that she could have put Renju in an oil drum, rolled him, taken him up the elevator, all the weight matched.
But then, something I didn't anticipate happened.
Ota saw you again, driving, and he was confused.
Waiting for the signal in AIBA, someone knocked on the window of the car. It was Ota.
Yes.
He asked me something about being able to drive.
Mm-hmm.
He was surprised, to say the least. I didn't have time to waste on him.
He knew everything about Iris's life, and he didn't recall her taking a driver's test.
But I couldn't risk him finding the oil drum in the trunk. Plus, if word got around that Renji's car was spotted driving around AIBA, that would foil my plans.
What were your plans exactly?
So, I came up with a lie. I told him that I didn't have a license, so he had to keep it a secret.
And being the simp that he is, he was all too happy to oblige. Damn it.
That's what that thing referred to in Ota's Nile messages, by the way.
Oh my gosh. The fact that she was driving around unlicensed.
And just like that, I managed to escape a bad situation and headed to Sunfish Pocket as planned. The rest went exactly as you already figured out.
Use the beer kegs to lift Iris and Renju's body. Day 3, Sunday.
Sunday morning, I had a recording or some such thing scheduled.
Well, and then you were like, well shit, I can't handle this life of a pop idol. I'm gonna switch bodies again. This time I'm gonna enter my dad.
Oh, I am of course referring to Iris.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I didn't want to draw suspicion, so I decided to attend, as planned. I went to Lemniscate and performed my job.
Her job.
And when I left, I ran into you, Date.
Damn it.
To be honest, I was a little surprised.
Seeing yourself again?
Just the previous night, I was a parasite in the body of Renju. I didn't think Ota had seen me. So, of course, I didn't expect to see you there so soon.
Weren't as clever as you thought, huh?
You were on to me, but there was nothing I could do about that. If I ran, it would only increase your suspicion. So I decided to play my role.
Came into the station.
The interrogation began around 8:20 p.m., is that right?
That innocent look on your face.
Then you synced into my mind.
And saw disturbing thoughts and dreams.
But you didn't get what you were looking for, did you?
No, I was confused at the time.
As a result, you had no choice but to release me. I didn't want to go home right away. I knew there might be police waiting for me. That would make it difficult to sneak out at night. And that would put my plan in jeopardy. So I asked you to take me to Marble. I tried to find an opportunity to run,
Still don't know what your plan is, though.
but then another unexpected event occurred.
Your white knight was there, and you could make him do whatever you wanted. Like zap me with a frickin' taser.
I got a Nile message from Ota.
Damn it.
I knew I could use him. So I told him I needed his help and to meet me at Marble. He did as I instructed him to do.
Great. Then he had that sinister grin on his face, and you must have had one too.
After that, I got into the van with Ota.
This entire time, I thought, like, Iris had the delusion, and then that's what prompted her to kill, Renju. No, that wasn't the case at all.
But because his presence was unnecessary, I asked him to stop at a convenience store to buy me something to drink.
And then you drove off, and then he thought someone kidnapped Iris. But no, that was just you voluntarily leaving him behind.
When he was gone, I took his car and drove to my parents' house where I used to live.
The Sejima residence.
Yes, the Sejima residence.
Exactly.
Of course, I knew I couldn't just walk up and ring the doorbell.
Why? Sejima would have seen Iris and been like, hold on a tick. You look familiar, except younger.
Hello, Father, it's been a long time.
You're getting up in my space again.
I was also in Iris's body at the time.
Yeah, 2-for-1 special. His son and his daughter.
But I thought I could use that to my advantage. So I pushed on the intercom and sure enough, my dad invited me inside.
He's a lot friendlier to her than he is to me. Then again, I am embodying the appearance of his son, so that's why every time I visited he seemed so pissed off. And why the bodyguards wouldn't let me anywhere near him. Did he still think I was Saito?
I told him this. I want you to come with me. There's something I need to show you. He was quiet for a while, but eventually agreed and got into the van with me.
Probably because you look like Monica Iwai.
We arrived at the prototype sync machine around 11:50 p.m. By the time I was in the body of Sejima, it was a new day.
You didn't inject him or feed him a sleeping pill like your other victims? Continue.
This was yesterday, early Monday morning,
Uh-huh.
past midnight. In my new body, I drugged Iris, put her in the van, and drove to a new location.
The Okura Fisheries warehouse.
Okiura Fishery Cold Storage Warehouse.
We thought, you know what would be a great idea? To stream Iris's death live and saw her in half using an ice cutting machine.
I arrived around 1, then prepared for the show for a couple hours.
How convenient you go to the very warehouse where Monica's body is just in the forklift around the corner.
Of course, when I say show, I mean dismembering Iris.
Yeah, you sick fuck. What the hell was that all about?
Because of the temperature in the warehouse, it took longer than I expected to prepare, but... Well,
Yeah,
you saw it in the video.
I did. You and your fancy polar bear costume.
Of course. I didn't anticipate Ota would show up. What does that make it? 3 times that brat has showed up unexpectedly?
Fortunately, unlike a cat, he doesn't have 9 lives. He only had 3, and that was the end of it.
That annoyed me to no end, and I took that out on him. Dressing him up in the polar bear was an impromptu plan on my part.
How clever.
I didn't mean to make you think he was the killer.
Bonus points, was it?
I just wanted to throw a wrench into the investigation. Didn't matter if you found out or not.
Jeez. Saito really is nuts. Treats it all like a game.
This all happened Monday morning.
It's like, oh, just conveniently set up Ota, you know? Just throw a little wrench in your investigation, see if it'll mess you up a bit while I just carry on my plans without anyone ever suspecting what was going on.
I left the warehouse around 3:30 a.m.
Which brings us to day 4, Monday, yesterday.
There isn't much to talk about on Monday. Before noon, I used my old man's body to call this one
Boss.
Boss. You might not know this, but she and my father go back about 6 years.
6 years, of course they do.
The two shared a terrible secret. Hinting at that was enough to get the boss to come running to me immediately.
Terrible secret? I just realized that the other flow as well, where Sejima, we found him cut up in the vase. I think it was the other flow where we save Iris's life. That was boss as well. Did.
I injected her with a sedative,
Damn it.
then brought her body to the chemical plant.
I take Boss's death personally, you know, just because I'm seeing Boss right in front of me right now being desecrated by this freak. And Boss is one of my favorite characters.
Exchanged our bodies. And after blowing my father's brains out, I cut his body into pieces.
Your father's brains with Boss in them. Why'd you have to cut it in pieces?
I stuffed the meat into a vase I'd brought earlier, then drove back to my house.
So, what's your plan here? What's your goal? You've just been hopping bodies for what? To get to me? To reclaim my body? Or, I mean, technically it's yours. I'm just renting it out for now. Continue. Saito spoke with grace and showed no signs of remorse. I was trying to keep my anger from boiling over and kept asking him questions. Why didn't the sink victims resist after waking? I'm going to say because they're disoriented. They're in a new body, they don't know what the hell's going on. By the time they realize it, they're dead.
Ah, the prototype sink machine has a special feature.
Not to mention they'll be missing an eye. But I thought the sinker will need to remove their eye as well, or am I mistaken?
It administers a strong dose of sedatives to the original body, and a stimulant to the host after a sink.
Uh-huh. And I also wouldn't be surprised if there was some, like, acclimation issues. If you slip into a new body, like in Altered Carbon, for example, there's sleeve sickness. When you switch bodies, you need to get used to it first.
That kept them docile.
I mean, it's not like he let them hang around for too long. As soon as he was done swapping bodies, he was getting on to murdering the previous vessel. Why did you take out your victim's eyes? We know that. Because you need to take out their eye.
You know all about the prototype sink machine, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
That should explain it.
I knew. The prototype sink machine differed from the one at Abyss in a few key ways. The machine at Abyss is more sophisticated. Nanocables from the sink gear enter through the gap between the eyeball and socket. Of course, nanocables! They then travel down the optic nerve canal to the brain. But because that's a prototype, there were no nanocables, just a big fat one, right? Is that it? But the prototype sink machine isn't so advanced. To perform a sink, you need to remove the left eye. Manually. Yeah, we saw that happen when we synced with Iris just before her death. The subject and the sinker have to remove their eye from the socket. So both of you have to remove their eye from the socket. Otherwise the cables cannot enter the brain. Of course, even with the eye removed, severing the connection to the brain isn't necessary. Of course, Was it Ota? Or someone saying that the eye could actually go back in, no problem? You just don't sever the optic nerve. You just let it dangle, I suppose, and you can put it back. The extracted eyeball still has the optic nerve and blood vessels connected. After a sync, the eye is supposed to be replaced back in the socket. Yeah, right. That explains why the sinker, or, you know, the host, I should say, has kept their eye. Or that's why Boss still has her eyes. Or Saito still has his eye. Damn, it's all confusing, okay? It's supposed to be safe. Side effects are rare. Unless the nerve or vessels are damaged somehow. Replacing the eyeball isn't too difficult. Well, I don't know about rare side effects, considering swapping bodies is a side effect, and that seems to have taken place multiple times during Saito's adventures with the prototype sync machine. Why did you take out your victim's eyes?
Of course, I don't really care about eyes.
Yeah, I mean, once you've transferred over, do you really care about the other eye in the body you used to inhabit? No, it's the last thing on your mind.
I don't need them. All I cared about was exchanging bodies with the sink.
Besides, the eye thing was more Rohan shtick back in the day.
And for that, I needed to remove the left eye.
Why didn't you just put the eyes back when you were done?
Again, there was no need to. They're not... I mean, Saito isn't modest. Like, if he found Monika's body, he wouldn't be the one to put a blanket over it.
That's obvious. Once I was finished transferring into a new body, the old one was of no concern to me.
It's just yesterday's news at that point.
Why would I bother replacing the eye? I was just going to get rid of it anyway.
Where are the eyeballs that you removed?
Shoko's is in Renju. Renju's is an iris.
You ate the eyeballs? That sounds familiar. I think... Was it some autopsy we did? I can't remember whose autopsy, but we found someone's eye in their stomach or something.
Iris's is in Dad. Dad's is in Boss.
And that
Their
little
stomachs, I mean.
grin there. Ugh.
You sick bastard.
Tell me about it.
Yes, I ate them.
Yeah, I can figure that out, you fucking weirdo.
Immediately after exchanging personalities.
How horrible.
I really want to know what your motive is, but for now let's ask, why did you display the bodies the way you did?
To harass you.
What? To harass me.
I wanted to bring out the hatred in you.
Well, I mean, you did a pretty bang-up job on that. But why?
That's why I called Mizuki to Bloom Park. That's why I streamed Iris's murder.
Such a bloody fashion.
Because they were important to you, weren't they?
Sure. But why we... Is it because I'm in your body? Is that it?
I wanted you to feel cornered, trapped. I wanted to punish you, Kaname Date.
What the hell? What's your motive?
Homicide is my hobby.
Uh-huh.
I have a tenacity for it, what can I say?
Thankfully there aren't any clubs in the city you could just join and have fun with your hobby.
Of course, it was also necessary to make sure people kept their mouths shut. If I took over someone's body, they would know about my crimes. I couldn't risk them reporting me, so I killed them.
Of course. That makes sense to me. Even though probably a lot of people would dismiss them as being crazy and cuckoo. Can you imagine Iris running, like, to Abyss and Renju's body just going, I am Iris, please believe me, and we just arrest Renju for suspected murder of Shoko and Dami.
It was also a matter of revenge. Against you.
How did this all come about? How did I end up in this body? How did you end up in Shoko's body?
It's personal. That's why I chose people close to you as targets. Well, except for my father, of course.
That was just a convenience.
That was personal to me.
Oh. Because, what? He disowned you or something?
Don't ask. It's embarrassing.
Oh, sorry. I'll avoid prodding. Just so you can preserve your dignity. Revenge against me?
This series of murders was like a journey for me, you know?
A journey? Like what? Lord of the Rings?
Traveling through bodies to finally reach the end. That's the thing about traveling. You always wind up in the same place, don't you?
Don't know what kind of traveling you're doing where you end up in the same place.
Where do you think that is?
Me? My body. Your body. Our body.
Your home. A trip is only complete once you return home.
I see, and I'm your final destination.
The same goes for me. When I return home, my travels will come to an end.
Oh, so you're just gonna stop killing as soon as you get back into this vessel?
So I'll be needing it back. My body.
Fat chance.
What?
You stole my body.
How?
You took it from me 6 years ago. That's why I want revenge.
Damn it, you want revenge for something I can't even remember.
What are you talking about?
You have no idea what it was like inside my own head. I miss it. I miss my brain, Date.
I see.
No matter how many people I killed, it never worked. I never felt happy.
Right. Because you weren't releasing the endorphins every time you killed, but your brain did. That sounds somewhat familiar, I think.
I feel miserable.
You mean?
Because everyone you've entered, they were never predisposed to killing. They abhorred it.
He was born with a brain dysfunction.
Yes, that's right.
Due to damage to the posterior pituitary gland, he was unable to properly secrete oxytocin.
The only way he could feel happy was by killing people.
Oh, that's right. My old body.
What about it?
How are you finding it, Date?
Well, I haven't found the freaking urge to kill people, have I? Which, come to think of it, is kind of strange. This body is yours?
That's what I've been telling you!
And I figured that out already.
I don't have the same oxytocin deficiency you did.
Yeah.
That is because I regularly supplement it.
You what now?
They must have increased your dosage too much.
Oh my god.
No, but
You've been keeping me in check, that's why I don't go nuts.
the person who had this disorder was number 89, the original Cyclops Killer.
That is what I believed as well. But we must have misunderstood. Pewter did not specify who exactly was imprisoned.
Right.
Only that one of the original culprits responsible was currently in prison.
So, he said prisoner in Fuchu prison. We got a call from 89 in Fuchu prison. We're just like, well, shit, they gotta be the same person. It's a story. We know who this character's, you know, they fit the criteria for both, so 89 is the person that was the original Cyclops Killer, but no.
That's strange. That would mean number 89 is the previous chairman, Rohan.
Wait, what?
That must be it. Rohan is a parasite inside number 89's brain.
So 89 isn't Falco, but Rohan Kumakura. Does that mean Falco was in Rohan when he jumped to his death? Because he was trapped in another body? And he was like, shit, I can't deal, and jumped.
Pewter must have known that.
Wait, Pewter knows? Oh my god, who belongs in what body? Everyone's so displaced right now.
No way.
I was confused. I didn't understand any of it.
Let us determine the specifics using Saito as our starting point.
Okay, let's do that. Yes.
Whose brain was he in before Boss?
He was
So
in
Sejima.
So Sejima's brain.
And before So?
He was in Iris's
Iris.
brain.
And before that, Renju.
And before that, Shoko.
And before that, Shoko.
And before Shoko,
And before Shoko?
he was... Whose body were you in before Shoko?
I was a parasite inside Rohan's brain 6 years ago until last year.
You were in Rohan's brain 6 years ago until last year.
I'd lost most of my memories. I was a shell of a man. They housed me in a special hospital,
Right.
but I still had those fragments of my mind left. Just as I explained earlier.
And somehow you started to remember everything.
From a single piece, you can recreate the whole. I took my time, slowly regaining my memories.
Mm-hmm. Formulating a plan.
1 year ago, I remembered everything.
1 year ago is when Rohan jumped to his death. So, you were in Rohan's body. You switched with Shoko. So, sorry, 89 wasn't in Rohan's body. Shoko was in Rohan's body, and Shoko's the one who jumped to her death. Is that right? I feel that makes more sense than number 89, or Falco, sorry, being in Rohan, because I don't think Falco would have jumped to his death. I feel like he would have been more resilient, trying to figure out a way to escape, whereas Shoko, even though we don't really know too much about her, I feel she might be feeling a bit more helpless.
I left the hospital and immediately sought out Shoko Nadami. I got her body,
Yeah.
and she was in Rohan's.
So, hang on. If you were in Rohan's body, that means Rohan had to have swapped into me? My current Kanami Date's body. And if Rohan is now in 89's body, that means I am Falco. And sorry, bear with me, just thinking, it's like I'm having like an epiphany right now, which means, and that fits because Date's Somnium at the very beginning of the game had 89 in it, or Falco in it, and that was us the entire time. And if we think about some of our heartbeat moments, there was that flashback where we were playing patty cake with a twist with Iris, and that was in a first-person view, and then Iris told us about that game being played with Falco, Uncle Falco, which means we are Falco, right? Is that it? Is that where everyone stands?
When she saw herself in the mirror, she lost her mind.
Or maybe I've just like jumped way ahead. Hang on. Okay, let's just calm down. Let's just listen to the story. Okay.
She was confused, panicking, running up the emergency staircase, and then...
Fell to her death. Yeah. Whoa, that's bright red. The lights are off in my room, and
That's
that
why
almost
Rohan
blinded me.
committed suicide.
It was Shoko. Couldn't find a way out.
After that, I spent a year perfecting my plan,
You spent a year as Shoko Nadami.
using Shoko's body. I spied on you all this time. That's why I know everything about you.
And we didn't notice a thing. Neither did Mizuki, I guess. Though I don't suppose she saw her mother up very often. Who were you before Rohan?
In there, in that body you are operating right now, in that skull,
Exactly.
my personality lived there.
Until I switched with Rohan.
Wait,
Or
hold on.
you switched with Rohan.
If what you're saying is true, what about my personality?
It was in Rohan.
I'm not Rohan!
I thought we were for a while. I was so happy. I was like proud of my theory. Speaking of which, my theory, I was too focused on Date having been the one to switch bodies. I wasn't even considering or contemplating that the killer would be using that very technique at such a rapid pace, no less. in present day. I was thinking, yeah, there was just a one-off switch with Date in the past, and that's why it's all mysterious and whatnot. I wasn't even thinking that Saito would be hopping bodies with four bodies, I should say, within like 5 days.
Correct. It is just as he explained earlier. Number 89 was in Rohan's body. In other words...
That's...
Me.
my real...
My real personality is Falco. We're Iris's uncle, and Hitomi's lover. Oh, oh my God. And that's why... Wait. Boss, he had a friend on the force. Is that why Boss was so protective of us? Because she knew we were 89? Keep talking.
Sorry, but time's up.
What do you mean time's up?
I want my body back.
Or what?
It's quite simple. Sync with me and stay inside my mind for more than 6 minutes.
And what do I get out of this?
And if I refuse?
I know that you won't. I know it.
Huh?
Date, look! This is
What's up?
streaming live!
Oh, for fuck's sake, of course. We saw it in the Somnium. It feels like it was so long ago now.
Damn you!
If you give me back my body, I will give you the location. Oh, and of course, it isn't the chemical plant in the Kawasaki district.
Not that we knew where it was anyway.
AIBA, where's the source?
It is being routed through numerous IPs. I cannot identify the source.
Damn it!
Computer, contact headquarters, now!
We can't lose another person.
Now, what will you do? Will you agree to my request?
Obey Saito? I'll do it, I won't do it. Ah. Oh! A smile of mocking ridicule is on her face. I feel like I should do it, or Falco would do it. I'll do it.
Date!
See?
I don't have a choice.
I knew you wouldn't refuse. I know you well, don't I, Date?
And well, if we do swap, AIBA, you're still in this body, right? Surely you could do something? Police headquarters, Tuesday, 4:28 a.m. Oh shit. Did I make the right choice? Did I make the wrong choice? He's back.
I did it. I did it.
He's gotten what he wanted.
I got it all back.
Hey, where's Hitomi?
All right. I'll tell you as promised. Boss's house. However, it might be too late by now.
What?
What?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Why?
Return my body and I'll tell you the location. That's what
Asshole.
I said.
I was thinking
I
this
didn't
was
lie.
like
I kept my promise.
a bit too Dark Knighty.
You bastard!
Oh shit, and we're all
You're
freaking...
the one who injured that body.
AIBA,
It's
you're
your
still
own fault, really.
there.
Damn it.
Do something.
Be seeing you.
Yes! Thank you! But Hitomi's dead now. What a freaking gamble that was.
Are you alright?
From Saito. If we only spent 6 minutes on Somnium, he only rigged Hitomi to die in like 10 or 15 minutes or something. Imagine if we just waited 15 minutes. She would have died anyway, and at least we wouldn't have given her what he freaking wanted. I mean, we kind of have him in custody, though. AIBA's voice barely resonated. My eyesight was hazy, a heap of broken images. Sweat was building on my palms. It felt like my throat was closing up, and I was struggling for breath. In my ears, the rushing blood of my heartbeat was the only sound.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah, pretty much. This is the worst timeline. Shoko, Renju, Iris, Ota, Hitomi, Boss. The flesh remains. The mind is lost. That is true.
I couldn't do anything. Saito had me right where he wanted me. Nothing. Nothing.
We were at his mercy this entire time, in this flow.
Parallel worlds exist.
The words suddenly echoed in my head. I couldn't remember who, or where, or why, but I thought that if there really was such a world, then me, in that world, I is another.
Could I have had a better future?
I think so, Date. I really, truly think so. I prayed that I could. I felt my consciousness sink into a black abyss. Oh my god. Annihilation Root End. That is a very fitting name for it. Here we go. The last route left on the board. It's finally time to switch back and figure out how the hell we're gonna take down Saito for good.